But let's talk about these contrast paint now because they are a really cool product. Again, another line from Games Workshop that I really, really enjoy. It's along with the shades, probably one of their most unique features, and one of the reasons why buying some Citadel colors is really interesting is the contrast paints. So contrast is a very kind of a specialty product, and it's a very high-low product. And the way this works is basically contrast. If you use it as they intend, is you prime your miniature a very light color. So they have the Games Workshop has like three that they suggest, which is white, something gray, and red bone, which is a light gray and then a bone color or white. And then you slam down a contrast on top of it, and the contrast as it dries, it's gonna make your base coat, your highlight, and your shading all in one coat. Now, does this work? Yes. Are there better ways of using this? Probably. But if you're really, really not invested in painting miniatures, and I hate everything, I want to be done as quickly as possible, that's probably the fastest way. And then there's a couple of like in between techniques for like the most popular right now being the slap chop, which is the fancy people call this the grisaille because it's French and sounds artsy pantsy, but which is kind of a more advanced thing, and we talk about this on the channel elsewhere. But it's using contrast, and so it's a product that like you can either use in the most beginner sense of like one color and done, or you can use this as like the next level into painting, and then it takes this to the very, very high level. Like I use a lot of these as shades. I think they're great. I use a lot of them for shading, just like to blend into other colors. So that's more the very high end. So I think the middle, like the average common painter in the middle, probably not getting a lot of mileage out of these. But if you want to push into like very advanced techniques, really great. And if you're looking for like a kind of an easy fix to a lot of painting, contrast might be what you want. So the contrast line is first of all, it's great because there's a lot of color selection. They've added a bunch of colors. I think there's like around 30 of them, which is interesting because in the other lines that are like the equivalents from other brands, they don't have that many colors. Even the numerous ones, they're a little bit more limited. The other cool thing is that they're in kind of a bigger bottle, and I tend to like that. This is probably even the people that love dropper bottles. I don't see a reason why you would want contrast or equivalent in a dropper bottle. I think this is maybe the only time where you're allowed to say the Games Workshop pot are not so bad. The caveat with contrast is you really need to try them out or to get like a better sense of what they do. And the reason I say this, first of all, there's a couple of I think there's like 6 or 8 colors that are not actually contrast. They're just liquid paint, but they don't behave like contrast. They don't do the whole shading and highlighting thing. And this here is the main like culprit. So one of them is called Black Templar, one of them is called Black Legion, and they're both called contrast. And you look at this at the shop, you don't know any better, and then you say, oh, there's 2 black. I don't know. I play Chaos, so I'm going to buy Black Legion. Screw those, Emperor lovers or whatever. You buy Black Legion. Well, Black Legion happens to be like the best black paint on the market. It is straight up black paint. It covers like nobody's business. It is great. It is much better than their Abaddon Black. That's their base black color. This is insane, but it is not a contrast. It does not do contrast stuff. It does paint. And it's great, but it is not a contrast per se, whereas the Black Templar, that's their black contrast. Now, why do they call it contrast? I don't know. I don't get it. And there's a couple. Okay, there's a red. So there's 2 red that are very much alike. There's Baal red and Blood Angels red. And like just from memory, I don't even know which is which. One of them is an actual contrast. The other one is like straight up red paint, like bright red paint. The orange, Magma Draught Orange is another one of those. Like Magma Draught Orange is super potent. It is a great. I don't know why I don't have it out. Actually, oh, there it is. It's not super far because this is like a great color. Like, look at it. Oh, it shines through the camera. So that's a great color, but it is a terrible contrast color. There's one that's called, I think, Griffhound Charger or something like that. That's their actual orange. This one is like, it's great because it's vibrant, but it's not really contrasty. So you need to thin it down like a lot to start to get the contrast effect, and even then, it's not great. So that's the downside, is you kind of have to know what you're getting into. Like some of them very specific, they're not great. And then the other stinker is Skeleton Horde. And I've tried this in like 2 ranges so far, and the bone color for some reason in contrast paint never seems to work. This is terrible. I have 0 success rate so far with Skeleton Horde. Does not work. So a couple of their good ones. I got some lined up here. So again, this one I just love because orange is such a hard color to work with. And this one simplifies the process. Like it's one of the great ones. And there's a purple one that does the same thing. I've never had a problem painting purple, but if that's a you situation, I think it's Luxion Purple, the name, pretty good. And then I talked about it again. So Black Legion is the best black paint ever. I don't use the contrast because it's not, but it's amazing. I have 3 of those at any given time. It's just so great. Best black paint on the market. I'll fight people for this. Black Templar is also pretty good. Again, Black Templar, if you watch the Shades video, is kind of a very potent black shade. So since Nuln Oil is not what it used to be, they changed Nuln Oil, everybody's favorite. I use Black Templar a lot as more of a shade than a contrast. I thin it down a little bit, and then I get the good black shade out of it. But this is one of the ones I use the most. And then more in terms of like actual contrast. So Volupus Pink is probably my favorite. I use this for tentacles and mutation. Like I painted a bunch of Dead Guard. It's like a very bright pink. So I like it a lot. I used to use the shade Caribou Crimson, and I think this does a better job at it. And you can combine, like you can shade violet on top of it. I just think it's great. It's like super bold pink. I really like it. Guilliman Flesh is my new favorite color. This shades gold like nobody's business. You put this on top of gold, chef's kiss good. It's insanely good. It's super easy. I love it. Never used it to paint flesh. It says flesh on it. Never used it for that. But on top of gold, this is just an amazing product. What's next? Wildwood I use a lot, and it's a very dark brown. It's like super dark brown. Like Rhinoxide, even probably darker maybe. I use this a lot on like pouches and stuff. It's pouches and boots and whatnot is stuff that I don't want to spend time painting. I don't have to. So you just like dry brush it with a little bit of white or something, and then you slam down your Wildwood on top of it, and you're done. So these are for the little details on like Space Marines or even like Sigmarines and whatnot. Wildwood is a great one. There's this one is very dark. Gore Grunta Fur is like the one tier down. It's got a little bit orangey thing to it. It's my next favorite for this. But I tend to go for Wildwood a little bit more just because I can highlight it myself if I want to. And then the last one is this one. I'm starting to use it a little bit more. I'm still experimenting with it, but it's I call it Garde Cancer. It's a French joke. Don't worry about it. But yeah, Garde Cancer is really good. It's another brown, but it's got this rust look to it. When it dries, it's got like that orange or like almost peach tint to it. And so what I do usually is I put this on top of like silver, and it's very heavy. And then I dry brush silver on top of it. And so I like this one. I'm still playing with it. I'm not convinced it's like the next best thing, but so far I've had good result with Garde Cancer. But yeah, so far I haven't run into a lot of like stinkers in the contrast range. Again, I think the stinker part is what I've described earlier with these contrasts that don't behave like contrast. I think that's where, like, if you're intending to do a red contrast job and you take the wrong red, like I think it's ball red, that's the wrong one, and then it kind of ruins your what you're trying to do. That's very frustrating because you have to start over. So you really need to get like a grip on what you're doing and like kind of figure out which color are doing what. And that I find that very, very confusing, because Games Workshop, again, they're making this effort for these, you know, to make these product as like simple and like straight to use. Like they call shades, they call their washes shade because you do shading with them. Like it's like they're trying, their base paints are for base coats, and somehow the most intro line ever has colors that don't do what they're. So that's the mind-numbing part. Yeah. The real skeleton horde. I don't know what's wrong with this skeleton horde. Just terrible. Just, I don't know. Don't get this one, guys. Paint your skeleton some other color. And then of course, so contrast have a bunch of equivalents from other ranges. They're all really kind of old products. Like if you hear the term candy when talking about paints, they're kind of the same thing. They're like these are like 10 plus years ago. There were paints called candy, and then the Tamiya Clear is roughly the same thing, where they just like tint colors. And so a bunch of ranges have contrast equivalent where you can just like tint your colors with whatever color. And then there's of course the gaming brands also have them. So Army Painter has the speed paints, which is exactly the same thing. And Vallejo has the Vallejo Express color or Express range, which are again Vallejo's contrast paints. You know, if you like these little videos, instructionals, and you want more, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and more coming your way.